How you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. Okay, so back in the 8 and 16-bit console generations, up till probably about like 93, maybe 94, Sony was a third-party console game publisher. They made games for the for the Sega CD, Super NES, Sega Genesis, and the NES. One of Sony's better games is today's title. It's a side-scrolling platformer. It plays to the Super NES's strengths by utilizing Mode 7, using the Mode 7 graphics rotation a lot during the course of the game. And it's just a really fun platformer. Today's game is Skyblazer. Now, Skyblazer, you play as this young warrior by the name of Sky, who's set on a quest to rescue Princess from the dark demon Asura. Now, Sky is easily dispatched and is woken up by a wizard, and the wizard, calls him a young whelp and insults him and berates him, and tells him you better make sure you're ready because one of your ancestors defeated Asura last time. Now you have to defeat him because you carry that bloodline, and you won't stop until he defeats you. So this sets Sky on a quest to rescue this princess and defeat Asura. Standard damsel in distress, save the world fare. I know. But it's a well put together game. The graphics are really good for the 16-bit console generation. The level design is pretty much outstanding. There are rotating towers throughout the game that you have to scale. There are levels where there are side-scrolling levels where Sky has to fly from one point to another. That will remind gamers of their favorite older shmup. There are some not many, but some over-the-shoulder flight levels as well, where Sky, the camera is set behind Sky. It's kind of along the lines of Afterburner or Star Fox, but a lot slower, a lot more deliberate. There are several different types of magic in this game that you can pick up, from a charge move that kind of looks like Andy Bogart's elbow attack from the Fatal Fury games, for those who are familiar with the Fatal Fury games. Projectiles, different types of attacks. And Sky is a tough customer. He has a lot of health. Well, starts out not a whole lot of health, but the more you play the game, the tougher he gets, the more damage he can take. And the game is balanced well. There's some really good, the hit detection is really good. The enemy sprites, the enemies are balanced well. They're not overpoweringly difficult, though they can be frustrating. Some of them can be, especially some of the enemies that just fly along gleefully when you're in a platforming section. For example, those rotating towers I talked about earlier, yeah, those are some of the areas where the enemies can be downright frustrating. They can knock you off of platforms to the ground level of the tower and makes you start over, or they can knock you completely off the tower and kill you. But another interesting thing about this game is that it has a password system similar to that one of Super Castlevania, where it uses symbols instead of numbers. Instead of numbers or letters in this grid. Actually, if I had to compare Skyblazer to anything on the Super NES, it'll probably be Super Castlevania 4. Though you don't use a whip, the colors, the game is a lot more colorful instead of, you know, being dark and morose and gothic like Castlevania is. And it's a little bit faster. I highly recommend Skyblazer. It's actually one of my favorite Super Nintendo titles, and for nothing else, it's a piece of history because this was one of the last titles that Sony produced as a third party for Nintendo, Sega, or anybody else. So if you're a history buff or Sony fanboy or anything else, you might want to pick this up. This has been the 8-Bit Animal, and I will catch you beautiful people tomorrow.